Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Affirmation Addict podcast. My name is Pyle, and oh my goodness, it has been a year. I have so many updates to share with you. I have so much to tell you. So many things are changing. So I'm excited to fill you in. And you did read the title right. This is the last episode of the Affirmation Addict podcast. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but that doesn't mean podcasting is over for me. It's more so we're just stepping into a new season, a new era, and a new shift of energy. So let me just give you some backstory. This is going to be a story time a little bit. So the last episode I think that was published was like in October, and on September 28th of 2024, I have like a podcasting room in our house, and a truck literally crashed into it right before I was about to start recording more episodes. I had my mic set up, I had my laptop set up and everything. And essentially what happened is I had the podcast set up, but then I got on the phone with my mom. I was supposed to meet her after after the podcast. And she started crying. She was like, "You keep flaking on me." And it was just very abnormal. But my mom was like sobbing hysterically on the phone. And I just kind of felt weird. So I was like, "Hey, Tom," and Tom was about to leave. So I was like, "Tom, can you stay home? I'm going to go take a shower. And then once I shower, hopefully I'll feel better. Then I can get to podcasting and just catch up on podcasts." And essentially, while I was in the shower, I heard the whole house shake. I felt the whole house shake. And that's the exact moment that the truck crashed into our house. Everyone was safe. The drivers, me, Tom, everyone was safe. But literally there was a truck in our home. I've posted a couple pictures on my Instagram as well. And it was, I think, the most unexpected thing I think I experienced. And because I wasn't there, because I didn't actually sit in podcasts, because I was completely fine and all that was damaged was like cosmetic, right? Like our house was like slightly broken into with the truck, and we had to get it repaired, and there was a whole thing there. But because everyone was actually safe, there was this weird correlation between my brain and me that made it feel like I wasn't allowed to feel scared, because I was like, okay, well, everything is fine. So it was such an interesting process. But then deep down, that room was my safe space. That was my meditation room. That was my sanctuary. That was my podcasting space. And it completely just shook me up to my core in ways that I don't think I realized until maybe recently. I don't think I realized until now how much that shifted me, especially because of the fact that it was when I was about to podcast. And I took time off the podcast. I was happy to just relax. I was happy to just focus on getting the home back to usual, focus on that. And then come I would say March or April, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back into podcasting. So I did a whole rebrand. But every time I sat in front of the mic, it was just not okay. Not the fact that I didn't want to do it. It was just something was off. So it was just uncomfortable. So then I was like, okay, I'm not going to force it. And then I found out that I was pregnant. So that was a whole nother thing. And so there's so many changes that have happened in the past year, from the truck crashing in, our house being repaired. We're having a baby. We moved into a whole new home. And I just feel like I have sat in front of the mic to sit and record the Affirmation Addict podcast at least 25 times. And I rebranded it. I love the rebrand. I love the branding, and I'm so excited for it. But I think I'm starting to realize it's not. I think the chapter of the Affirmation Addict had closed when the truck crashed into the house. I think that was like the end of that season, the end of this era. And I think stepping into a deeper version of embodiment, of navigating some of my deepest fears, of regulating my nervous system when my literal house was crashed into, like my safety net, and moving and growing a baby and all of these things. I was like, maybe it all clicked for me a couple weeks ago, but I was like, maybe I'm meant to close out the affirmation podcast and create something new. And I've been thinking about just what motherhood means to me and how I want to show up in the workplace, how I want to serve. And I decided to release all of my app content completely free. So if you've been around here, you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I've had an app. The whole business started based off of the app. And I think that pairs very well with the transition of having my baby of my own, because I think for a really long time, the app was like my baby. I poured so much into it, the development, the content, and even that, like the energy was just changing. And I've been in the business for 7-8 years now. So I think it was a very hard pill for me to swallow, that I can reinvent and start over or start shifting in ways that are so drastic. It feels like it's all happening at once, but I think I needed it to. And I think that's really what's going on. So I have released all the app content for free. So all of my affirmations, my guided meditations, my visualizations, my guided affirmations, those are all available to you for free. The link should be in the show notes here. And if you can't find it, just DM me on Instagram, or go to my Instagram. The link is in my bio too. So essentially, there's so much change happening. And I think it's all in beautiful divine timing. And I feel so excited about it because I feel like I'm unveiling a whole new level of myself, of practicing manifestation, of living it. And it's really forcing me to follow the fact that it doesn't have to make sense, but you have to follow what feels good. Because yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to discontinue the app that was making money and people were using it and I had tons of members. Like, it doesn't actually make sense, but my heart wasn't in it. And that was a very scary decision for me. It doesn't make sense for me to rebrand the entire podcast and stop creating it just because my heart felt like it was a little bit different. None of it actually makes logical sense, I think, but so much of it makes emotional sense for me and resonance for me that I think it's the best way I can keep serving, keep showing up, and helping you along the way. And it's been such a journey this past year. And I'm just so excited for what this new phase, what this new energy has to unlock. And what you'll see is the app is completely free. Well, the app content is free. So the app is going to be deleted, but the app content is free. So that's like on a web page. All of my courses, if you had access to that, those are all moving there too. And then this podcast, I'm not going to remove it. I'm going to keep it up. So if you need another free resource, you can always binge on the episodes. So the podcast is here for you. And then I am creating a private podcast. So I know this might not be everybody's cup of tea. And if it's not your cup of tea, you have this podcast to look back on. But I was really thinking about my energy going into motherhood. And another reason why I feel like I wasn't able to sit in front of the mic and record is because I think I've dropped into even more of a vulnerable, sacred, heart-centered space that creating the content I do on the podcast, where I share so much, where it's literally like coaching in your pocket, it kind of felt like a little bit of an energy leak for me overall, where it felt like this needed to be something different. So the private podcast is a paid podcast. It will not be free, but I've kept it as affordable, I think as reasonable as I can. It'll be $11 a month starting off. And so it's going to have weekly episodes, and it's being rebranded to Energy Check-ins. So it's not going to be called the Affirmation Addict Podcast that retires here. This is the last official episode. But what we're going to do is we're going to have weekly episodes to just check in on your energy, manage your energy, tune into it. And how do you like actually apply and live the concepts of manifestation in your day-to-day life? Like, say your friend triggers you, or your mom, or your family. Like, what do you do? How do you manage that? What are some belief shifts or perspective shifts that come with that? And I feel like that type of work is the work I do in my coaching calls. And I've seen how transformational it can be. I've seen how transformative and helpful it can be, that I really do believe it is sacred work. And I think from even the feedback I've gotten from many of you, a lot of what I've shared on the podcast has completely changed your life. And I'm so excited for that. And I'm so happy. And please keep listening to this podcast if that's what you need. But as I go into the state of motherhood, being more present and being more intentional with my energy, this seems like the best next step for me. So my current offerings are going to be all of my free app content, all of my free spiritual tools, meditations, the private sacred space of the podcast, and then one-on-one coaching, which I'll be taking limited clients just as I get integrated. So that's really the next phase of the business. And then just creating content, sharing my life on social, sharing different things I'm doing for fun. But if you're really trying to step into this work and embody it and practice it for yourself, that's going to be the ways that you can work with me at the moment. And yeah, maybe I'll be inspired and I'll want to create like a little challenge or something. But I think I'm really learning how to honor my energy and listen to what feels right. And this has been such a nerve-wracking, yet expansive, yet unfamiliar territory for me to navigate, which is honestly like listening to what feels good to me instead of people pleasing what I think I should do, because the people pleaser in me is like, just make everything free, make everything accessible, just give, right? But then there's a part of me that's noticing that I can do that. Yeah, technically I can just release it. But then there's a part of me that energetically, I've noticed the long-term impact that not honoring your energy can do. And I do firmly believe that a lot of my energetic misalignment and a lot of my not listening to myself or trusting my intuition the first time is what led to some of these huge, drastic life changes, because so much of me was trying to keep doing what was working, even if it didn't feel the most in alignment. And I hope this can be a lesson for you to apply in your life regarding the fact that there's no such thing as a right move. I think everything can teach you a lesson. I think everything is meant to teach you a lesson. And there's no such thing as something good or bad happening to you. Even with the truck crash, yeah, was it inconvenient? Of course. Was it scary? Yes. But I don't like labeling it as good or bad, because I think that starts to create identity level shifts that I don't want to adopt. So to me, it was like, okay, the truck crash happened and it taught me so much. It really was a big turning point for me. It really marked the end of an era and a becoming of a new season of life in so many ways, symbolically and physically. And I think it's owning that instead of running away from it. And I honestly feel like it was a blessing. I think it made me sit and reflect on like, is this actually what I want to do? And is this the way I want to keep showing up and keep feeling? Because I would be lying if I said I felt so amazing and so in alignment before the truck crash happened. I was feeling out of alignment for like 2 years and trying to make the app work, trying to make the podcast work for me. And sure, financially it was generating, but it didn't feel good. And if you know anything about me, you know that feeling good is such a priority to me, and feeling good while also doing good. And I was feeling not good, but I was doing good. So I wanted to do both. And I hope, and I'm intending, and I believe that this next season, this next way of life is going to do that. And I'm just so grateful for everything you've done to support the Affirmation Addict podcast along the way. And I'm excited for this next phase of it, because something I've always been so firm about in my values is I don't like doing ads. I don't like paid sponsorships. Like, I don't love those things because they never really feel authentic to me. Like, to me, what feels authentic and genuine to me is sharing my heart. And I think I'm finally owning the fact that I do have a lot to share. And if you want to be part of it, come on in. If you don't want to be part of it, I'll see you on socials. And there's no hard feelings, there's no obligation. But if you do want to be in my kind of sphere of let's live this lifestyle of manifestation, let's really practice what we preach, and let's actually feel good from the inside out and be living, walking, breathing manifestors, then this is kind of your safe space. And so I'm excited for what we unlock together on this next phase. The style of the energy check-ins is going to be the same, very similar, maybe a little bit more structure. And there's some cool things I have planned for it, but I'm first going to just get back into the flow of podcasting, get back into the flow of motherhood and get used to it. And then I'll probably go deeper into wherever that needs to take us. And I'm open to all feedback and open to everything. So I'm excited to be sharing my voice, sharing my heart in that space, because it is such like an intimate access to me. And I think when I sit and record, I really do open up my energy field, and I'm sure you can feel it because I feel your guys' energy. So I'm excited to do that in a truly sacred space. And the cool thing is that it still shows up like on your podcasting app. So you just get like a private podcast feed. So I'm super excited for it. I'm so grateful for your understanding and your support. I know so many of you have asked, like, when's the podcast coming back? And I've been saying, like, okay, I'm sitting down to record, and I do sit down to record, and then it's just like lack of alignment. And I can't force myself to do things that are out of alignment. That's just very against all of my beliefs. So that is why there have been no episodes for over a year. And I so appreciate you being supportive, understanding, and I really, really hope I get to see you inside of Energy Check-ins and connect with you there on a deeper level. But if not, just remember, app content is available for you. So if you need affirmations, any of that, that's all available for you. And if you need a little voice in your pocket, a little one-on-one time with me just through your week to navigate your week, to stay accountable, to stay consistent in being that best version of yourself, I'm here for you through the Energy Check-ins, and I hope I get to see you there. So officially, this is the last time you'll be hearing from me on this podcast, and I really want to say thank you for the support over all of these years, for supporting the ups, the downs, the breaks, the lack of communication, all of it. I'm so grateful for you. And I can't wait to see what we up level into together on different phases, different platforms. And I love you. And truly, I hope that if anything can help you through this podcast and through the Affirmation Addict podcast and all of these archived episodes that you can listen to at any point, I really hope it can just help you deeply connect with yourself. I hope it can remind you of your innate power and remind you that honestly, anything is possible, and it can feel scary. It can feel like you're not doing it right, but you probably are. So I hope this can remind you to listen to that. I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.